night was filled with guns and war, and everyone died trampled on.
Yes, but today this humble vessel of the Lord come forth with very, very good news of the earth in thine temple, and that is that last residual piece of agony I had from that curtain saga. It's done. So I mentioned in that video I did there about time, my last video there, I mentioned that I've still got some residual agony hanging over from that, and it's a funny old thing. So yesterday I went down to the shops. I went down there, as I say, I went down to the shops, and as I was driving down, I had a quiet prayer to the Lord, and just said, Lord, just, you know, I said it in the video yesterday. Can you just make sense of it for me? I just don't get why. You know, just help me understand the lesson. But anyway, when I got home, I actually thought, right, I'm going to take some action here, because I just thought, you know, if the roles were reversed and I had that left over, they wouldn't let it go. And I thought, it's not right. It just wasn't sitting right with me. So I thought, there's this legal place you can call, and they give you free advice. And I gave them a call, and they gave me some advice and sent me some paperwork. And then that very same afternoon, the payment just comes through without fanfare, without an email from them, just nothing, just an email, just the money's just sitting there in my account. So the whole thing is actually over. I can't believe it. I'm absolutely elated that it's over, and I just reflect on that prayer that I'm told, and I just think the lesson was, it was just one last bite that the Lord had for me with it, because He's taught me so much with this whole saga. So much about the gospel, and so much about the loving of my fellow man, and it's just I don't know, it's just coming by the day that it's just natural now for me. I've got no hate in my heart anymore, which is just such a lovely place to be. It's a beautiful place to be, because it's just that moment where the two thoughts of love thy neighbour like you love yourself, and then that other part where it's when you first get saved, it's like the Lord takes it all away. You bring those two things together, and it all just starts to click. It all just starts to click, because it's not my problem. It's the Lord's problem. Those people that come forth unto thee, it's between them and the Lord, and between Satan and the Lord, and it's just got nothing to do with me. So I just you know, let things play out, let the Lord do His works, and let it all pan out, and just take the lessons from it. And the lessons with this was just one last go where the Lord just, I don't know whether it was a test or whether it was just an example. Maybe it was just like a spot test. This is where you are. Just a quick spot test. This is where you are. How are you going to react to this? And there it was. I reacted well. I'm really comfortable with the way I reacted. I sent them an email just asking them, just prompting them a week ago, and nothing happened. And I've just tried to call them a couple of times. And in days past, I probably would have left, you know, messages, not abusive messages, just messages that probably I would have let myself down, and I probably would have called and sent email after email, and went to outrage and all that sort of nonsense. And this time I just sort of let it all pan out, let the Lord do His work, and here we are. It's done. It's finished, and I'm just absolutely elated. Wanted to talk quickly too, just about just what's going on in the world, and how I just believe it could be linking back, like that and my calling could be parallel things. And when I say this stuff, please don't think I'm an ego-driven person. I'm not. Far from it. I'm just not. The Lord's taught me over the years that me having an ego is just a completely pointless thing. It'd be a frustrating thing, because time and time again over the years, I've just been told, you know, I want to do this. Oh, that's a really good idea, Brett, but we're going to do this instead, mate. And every time I achieve, everybody else has done it before and done it better, and nobody's got any interest in what I've got to say. And if I say he's right and they don't actually know, they won't acknowledge that they know, or they'll just write me off as a raving lunatic. But most things I say, people already know, even though they don't know. And my whole life's just been that. And we all know, those of us within the body of Christ, we all know, we're the people coming forward. We're not going to be grand kingsmen, and we're not going to be rulers of countries and nations, and you know, we're not going to be the top notch in our local Masonic lodge. No, we're just normal people, just like me, just like you. We're just ordinary folk. And I just read that story last night. I finished Samuel, by the way. Samuel, First Samuel, what a great book. I remember first time I read that, I was so confused. I watched back a video I did on that in January, and I was so confused. And I'm not as confused this time. I'm not as confused, but I took a lot out of it. And Samuel was barren. Samuel's mother was barren, by the way. I found that interesting. I found that really, really interesting. Because Samuel was a true man of the Lord. He did not go to the right or to the left. He went straight through that narrow gate, did Samuel. But anyway, I read through the story. I'm thinking of doing a video on Samuel. I'm not sure, but I read a story there, the story of David and Goliath. And David he just let the Lord lead him, and the Lord just did it all for him. And he smote him with the 5 smooth stones from the brook. From the water come these 5 smooth stones, and he smote him. And that's what it's going to be like with us. We just come forward wielding the sword of truth, and we're going to smote people. We are just going to smoke people. And when we say that, we're not going to kill people. We're just going to smoke their beliefs. We're going to smoke their spiritual land on which they dwell. And I'm just finding with myself, as things amp up, my understanding of the Bible just gets more and more profound, and it becomes more in depth. Don't get me wrong, I'm still in error in a lot of areas. I wake up some days and I think about what I was thinking yesterday, and I go back to the scriptures, and I think it's Genesis 14. That's just come to life for me this morning. The title of nations, I think it's called. I'm like, what's that? The title of nations. It sounds very United Nations to me. And then I've revisited Genesis 19, and it looks to me, when you reread that, the people come knocking on Lot's door, and they were of Sodom, so they were Sodomites, and Lot offered up his 2 daughters, didn't he? He offered up his 2 daughters to the Sodomites, and instead of the angels that were at his house, because the Sodomites wanted the angels, and he offered up his 2 daughters, and then the 2 daughters defiled him while he was sleeping after they made him drunk on wine. And that brought about the Moabites and the Ammonites, who the Lord at the start really had a soft spot for, but then they just transgressed against Israel time and time again, and the Lord just went right, and he just had it with them. And I read it during Samuel. There was verses there in Samuel where they went to war with them. So I'm always revisiting things, but I just think, I don't know, I just think as I grow in the Lord, and it's just coming to a head in the world, I just keep coming back to Israel and Mount Hermon. That's where the fallen angels fell, you know. And there, as I sit in this car, in my prayer closet, I just think that they are the modern day Nephilim. I can't quite piece it all together because I can't fit Esau into this puzzle. And I'm just convinced that Esau is the big red, you know, the red. He come out red with a hairy garment. I don't get the significance of the hairy garment, but he come out red, and this New World Order's red, isn't it? It's based on a communism type of thing. It's suppression of the people and their freedoms, and it's all unified, and it all goes back to one big state, and it's all red. And the biggest country in the world now seems to be China, they seem to be the prototype. That system seems to be the prototype for what the New World Order will operate under. And then you've got the dragon, but that goes back to the serpent, which existed before the Edomites. So I can't piece all that together at the moment, but I just, in my heart, because that star, the Star of David, is the Star of Rephaim, which were Nephilim, which were giants back in about, I think it was in Genesis 14, they were referred to quite a bit in those Genesis books. And I think they're going to be referred to as I go through Samuel, Kings and Chronicles as well. They're going to be there. But you go back to that, and you go back to Christchurch and George Pell and Sri Lanka, and now it's amping up. It seems to be amping up in the Red Sea. No, not the Red Sea, in the Persian Gulf. It seems to be amping up there, and they're all just Freemasons. It's all just orchestrated theatre. It's all just pretend. It's real what they're doing, but it's all just theatre. It's like a movie. They're doing it, and they're just all in it together. They're all Freemasons, every last one of them. You can't become a leader of a nation anywhere in the world without being a Freemason. It's as simple as that. They're all in it together. The whole world, we are in a new world order right now, but it's just going to intensify more and more, and they're not going to stop. Like, there's not a point where they're going to get to where they're going, all right, that's good now, we're happy. No, they're just going to keep going. They're not going to stop. You look at the Georgia Guidestones, they want to decrease the population to under 1 billion people, I think it is, 500 million or something. And they're just not going to stop. And I just look at these events and I look at my calling and who I feel I might be, because what the Lord's done for me has been quite profound. Like the journey I've had, I touched on it there yesterday in that video, or the video 2 videos ago, and I touched on it there, and I just, I don't know, to me it just feels as though that I'm going to be somebody that the Lord's going to use in a significant way, because I'm fearless in the Lord and I've got nothing. I've forsaken the whole world and it's forsaken me, and I just now, my whole life is just about researching the Bible, reading the Bible, prayer, and the only things really I seem to be doing other than that now is just time with my family, which I hold as dear as ever, dearer than ever, to be honest. The Lord's working in my family's life like you wouldn't believe, like the enrichment my family's getting in the Lord at the moment, and the Lord's doing it through me. I'm his vessel there with my family, and it's just incredible the work that's going on, and I hope they can feel it too. But just in my family, and also just my gym. My gym's a really good outlet. I come from there now, and it's amazing. It's a funny old thing. I've never been stronger. I've never lifted heavier, and just every week I seem to be upping the weights. I literally went 5-6 years for the last from say 2012 to 2018, where I just lifted the same weights. I couldn't lift any more, and I had a crook shoulder, and then I had that wisdom tooth out, and since I had the wisdom tooth out, I don't know, it feels as though the shoulders just freed up a little bit, and I'm just lifting as heavy as ever. And I just look at everything that happens now in my life, and I just think it's the Lord. Everything that happens, it's the Lord. And I just think, okay, he wants me big and strong physically, and he's taken me out of bondage, and he clearly wants me to learn all this stuff, and he's led me in all these directions, and I've got all these questions about him, but this big jigsaw, it's just coming together, And then you've got the enemy. The enemy just come to me, and they just get more and more profound. It started with Forza, and from the house of S. Forza, from the Lodge of Wisconsin, and he came forth first, and then it's just been more and more profound. And the latest incarnation is that it would appear that some people that have come to thee would appear that the Lord may require a sacrifice of a bullock upon the altar before the Lord. For what they've done to thee. And I just ask again, please just leave me alone. If you come with ill intent, please just leave me alone, because I know what's going on, because the Lord's given me discernment, and the Lord's given me eyes to see and ears that hear, and I don't share every piece of that wisdom because I know you're the enemy. But I'm revealing just about everything else that I learn, and I'm not going to stop, simply because that's what the Lord wants me to do, and that's what he's saying to me, and it's loud and clear in my voice that's what he wants me to do. So here today, I'm just in a really good place within the Lord. I'm a bit frustrated today in my learning and my journey. I'm back to I'm not glum. I really need to know who Esau is and how he fits in all this, and the seed, and because you had Abraham, and then you had Lot, and they came from the generation above Abraham, where that passage in Joshua said that they served other gods the other side of the flood when they were born this side of the flood, and then Abraham begat Ishmael. But I read there this morning, I've had a bit of a look back over again, and the Lord spoke to the handmaid that gave birth to Ishmael, and the angel of the Lord said, I'm going to multiply your seed. And she was a handmaid. So I need to understand what a handmaid is, and I just need to understand what cattle and oxes are and all that, because as I go on, to me they're not animals. They represent people's spirituality and their relationship with the Lord in some way, because everything does. There wouldn't be so much concentration on all these animals when everything's about the Lord. Everything's about the Lord and the sons of God and the sons of men. The whole Bible, that's what the whole Bible is about. To me, those three sections of people, and then you've got the giants who descended from the sons of God. So they are of the sons of God as well, aren't they? So the whole Bible comes from those three things, and I don't know, just all these questions abound, and at the moment the biggest pain point is, who is Esau? I really need to get, I know he's Jacob's twin, but what does he represent? He's red, he come out red, and the dragon, the serpent, I don't know, that's the scarlet thread, isn't it? I think so, because the scarlet thread, that's where it started with Cain. I think. So I feel as though it's all coming together, but many questions still abound. There's still much frustration, but we stay calm and we just try and grow every day within the Lord, because the Lord is allowing me to do this because he wants me to do this, and it seems to be just as important to him as it is to me. So that's a really nice place to be. I'm no longer lonely. I don't have a friend of my name, but that's all good. I'm no longer lonely. I'm fine. My days are full, and they're full of joy because I'm full of the Holy Spirit, which is all I care about now. All right, my brothers and sisters, all power and glory goes to Jesus Christ, the Saviour, and my best friend.
Change your mind, the sun has come. You